They lied to you about Custer's last stand. This is the story they never wanted you to hear. The real truth behind Custer's last stand. Not the sanitized version in your textbooks, but the brutal, bloody account from the scouts who were there. The U.S. Army buried this story for over a century, but today it finally comes to light. Young Hawk, an Iroquois scout, saw it all. The arrogance, the betrayal, the moment Custer's men realized they'd been led to slaughter, and the smoking gun evidence that this wasn't just a battle, it was a setup. So tell me, do you really know what happened at Little Bighorn? Or have you been fed a lie? Smash that like button. The truth goes viral only if you make it. For over a century, the official story of the Battle of Little Bighorn has been a carefully crafted myth designed to glorify George Armstrong Custer while silencing Native voices. Now, the raw, unfiltered testimony of young Hawk, an Iroquois scout who survived the massacre, shatters this whitewashed narrative forever. What you're about to read isn't just history, it's a reckoning. Subscribe to Rootvolutionary to uncover the suppressed truths of American history that textbooks refuse to teach. As dawn broke on June 25, 1876, the 7th Cavalry Scouts knew something was terribly wrong. The air hung heavy with tension as they gathered on a small knoll near the Little Bighorn River. Young Hawk watched with growing unease as Custer's party descended from High Butte, their blue uniforms stark against the golden plains. The native scouts, Iroquois, Crow, and others, clustered together, speaking in hushed tones. They had seen the massive Sioux encampment with their own eyes, thousands of lodges stretching as far as the horizon. This was no ordinary village. It was a gathering of nations prepared for war. Yet, when they warned Custer, the arrogant general dismissed their concerns with a sneer. Through interpreter Fred Gerard, Custer delivered his fateful orders. "Boys, today you must take the Sioux horses. This will be your greatest test." The scouts exchanged grim glances. They knew what Custer refused to admit. They were riding into certain death. At the sound of the bugle, the cavalry surged forward in a cloud of dust and gunpowder. Young Hawk found himself galloping beside Strike's two, their horses' hooves pounding the dry earth. As they reached a lone tipai standing sentinel on the plains, young Hawk dismounted and slashed the hide covering with his knife. What he saw inside chilled his blood. A funeral scaffold holding a warrior's body wrapped in sacred buffalo robes. This was no ordinary camp. It was a spiritual place, and the Sioux would defend it to the last breath. The scouts exchanged horrified looks. This was bad medicine. As bullets began whizzing through the air, the carefully planned attack dissolved into chaos. Young Hawk watched in horror as Bloody Knife, Custer's most trusted scout, took a bullet to the head at point-blank range, his brains splattering across Reno's face. Bobtail Bull, the bravest of the Crow Scouts, was swarmed by Dakota warriors and literally torn apart. White soldiers turned on their native allies, screaming, "John, you go," as they abandoned them to die. The river crossing became a slaughterhouse. Horses panicked in the deep water, throwing riders into the current where Dakota women waited with stone clubs. Young Hawk barely survived by clinging to his mount's mane as bullets kicked up spray around him. As night fell, the handful of survivors huddled behind pathetic barricades made of cracker boxes and dead horses. The Dakotas' war songs filled the darkness, while wounded men moaned in agony. It was here, in this hellscape, that young Hawk made a shocking discovery. Among the dying soldiers, young Hawk found a crumpled dispatch that revealed Custer had knowingly led his men into a trap. Even more damning, the order had come from higher up the chain of command. This wasn't just Custer's folly, it was a deliberate sacrifice. The question isn't whether Custer made mistakes, It's whether his last stand was actually a sanctioned mass execution. Consider this. The U.S. government needed a noble defeat to justify total war against the Plains. Tribes, Custer's political ambitions made him dangerous to the Grant administration. The sheer size of the Sioux encampment was impossible to miss, meaning someone wanted the cavalry to attack. Was Custer's last stand actually an elaborate suicide mission designed to create martyrs and provoke public outrage? The timing is suspicious. Within months, the government used the battle to justify stripping tribes of their remaining lands. Drop your thoughts below. Heroic last stand or calculated sacrifice? Did the scouts know more than they revealed? Why has the Army's official story changed 17 times? Subscribe to Rootvolutionary. We don't just report history, we exhume it. Share this video before it gets memory holed. The truth has waited 150 years. It can't wait any longer. This isn't revisionist history. It's the story that was stolen from us. Pass it on.